Hi everyone. We'll just wait maybe for another minute or two for everyone to join and then we'll start shortly. Okay, I think we can start now and will join us. So hello everyone and thank you for joining today's webinar, during which we will explore how qTest can support both testers and test managers through the testing lifecycle. My name is Milica and I'm test specialist here at QUnit. Alongside me is Sriram from Tricentis, who will tell you more about them and their products in a bit. But before that, I would like to tell you a bit more about our agenda for today. We'll start with introduction about qUnit and Tricentis, as I mentioned. Then we will go over a quick qTest UI to see all key components, and then we will start the demo. We'll cover different possibilities of integrations with tools like Jira and Tosca. And finally, we'll wrap things up with key points to take away and Q&A session. Also, feel free to drop any questions if you have in the chat, and later we'll check to see if you have any and if you can answer that today. So without further ado, let's start. As I mentioned, my name is Milica, and I'm the specialist here at QUnit. We are experts in quality assurance for cloud-native, bespoke application, and SAP. Our partnerships with market-leading test tool providers allow us to provide unique solutions and transport testing to a catalyst for innovation. Alongside me today is Sriram from Tricentis. So, Sriram, I will hand things over to you to tell us a bit more about Tricentis and yourself.
Great. Thanks, Melissa, and hello, everybody. Nice to talk with every one of you today. So my name is Sriram Vaidyanathan. I'm a solution architect within Tricentis. So I'm based in Berlin. So I've been with the company for almost 4 years now, but I've been using Tricentis products for almost 10 years, implementing solutions for multiple customers. So happy to also walk you through the different solutions from Tricentis as well. So a little bit about Tricentis in general. So we have been in the industry for almost 18 years now. Started as a test automation company, and then we grew our portfolio across different other verticals as well. So we have multiple different solutions, which you'll be seeing in a second. And as you can see, we have been recognized as leaders in by multiple different analysts across the globe as well, be it Gartner, Forrester, or IDC. So the main aspect of what we provide to our customers is a holistic quality engineering platform, which will then help you to achieve faster releases, and also risk coverage will be more than 90%, and then eventually reducing the cost as well. So, and we do that with multiple of our quality engineering platform solutions. And it is also spread across different verticals as well. So you can see that we have solutions across manage, we have solutions across automate, we have solutions across optimize and scale. So on the managed part is on the qTest, which is our enterprise test management solution, which we'll be seeing it in detail today, which will then help you to do your test management plus the overall orchestration as well, which I'll also explain in a second. But other than that, when it comes to automate, we also have solutions around no code, low code platforms, which will then help you to automate end-to-end applications, whether starting from a web application going into enterprise apps or APIs, green screen applications. So whatever technologies that you might be having in your landscape, it's a completely scriptless test automation solutions that we have, which will help you to automate across end-to-end applications. And we also have solutions around optimize, where when it comes to the change impact analysis, where based on the changes coming into the system, the tools can then help you to say that based on these changes, these are things that needs to be tested, so which will then optimize your testing and then make your testing faster and efficient, rather than testing everything and then also missing certain testing aspects as well, which we have solutions like live compare and see lights, which will help you to get these things addressed. We also have solutions like Tricentis data integrity, which will help you to do your end-to-end data quality assurance, where if you have your ETL processes, making sure that whatever data is being traveling across your enterprise, all these data are validated so that you don't have any data leakages or there is any data gaps. And even for feeding into your AI solutions, you can make sure that you have the right set of data as well. So we have solutions around all these optimized phase. And then when it comes to scale, we have Tricentis Neoload, which is also, as the name suggests, it's meant for load and performance testing. So not only just validating from the functional aspects, so you can also validate everything around the non-functional things, so that making sure your application is um, performant enough in your end user application is something that this solution can help you make sure when you do your releases as well. And of course, we have solutions like a device cloud, which will provide you access to real physical devices plus analytics as well, so that whatever mobile testing needs that you might be having, you will then be able to get access to real physical devices sitting on different country specific things as well. So this is again the holistic quality engineering platform that Tricentis has. And what we're going to see in detail today is all around qTest, which we'll be covering on what qTest is all about and what are the different features and what is the value proposition around it, and how it can help you as a test manager or a tester to make your life easier, basically. So if you take testing as a topic, back then, when it comes to waterfalls, it was a specific, let's say, activity altogether, where you had like 3 to 6 months in order to do your testing, and then it's a bigger aspect in itself. But with all the agile ways of working, there are different agile teams now. So yeah, now the ways on how testing is done is a bit more fragmented, but that comes the natural problem about how do you have a holistic view about your testing if you're a test manager, or if you're a tester working across different teams. How would you then have the overall visibility about your testing, since now there are different teams? There are again different sets of tools as well, which has come along with it. So which means if you're a agile team one, you might be using tools like Jira for your project management purposes, and then you might be doing manual testing. And second is, if you're a second team, then you might be using different other project management, different pipeline tools. And then you can see within the graph in itself, there are lots of different solutions which are there. But if you want to get the overall visibility about how your quality assurance is looking like, it is always a bottleneck, because you have to have let's say holistic view about everything in a single platform, which is not currently there in an enterprise world as well. So this is where qTest comes into picture, which is going to help you as a unified test management solution, can get you the overall visibility about whatever test tools that you might be having. You can have an entire business being operated into a into a single platform as well, meaning that qTest in itself has the capabilities to do test management. Like if you have your traceabilities, if you have your test plans, your requirements, your test case designing, your reporting, everything, it can be managed within a single tool. But in addition to that, The tool can also be easily integrated with tools like Jira or your test automation solutions, so that even though you as an agile structure distributed across different teams, you as a test manager can have a single source of truth, which will then help you to visualize all the results in a single platform as well. So this is basically what qTest is all about, which will then help you to connect different teams together and then have a holistic view about your quality assurance basically. So in Crux, this is what the solution is all about. So you can centrally manage all your test management, like so plan your activities, maintain your traceability, and then do your exploratory testing, your manual testing in the same platform. But in addition to that, if you have solutions like Tosca, if you have solutions like let's say Selenium, or you're doing manual testing, Postman, or any other third-party solutions as well, it can be easily linked with qTest, so that you also get the whole traceability into a single platform as well. And once you get all the information into the same platform like qTest, qTest also has powerful insights capability, which will then help you to visualize all the results in dashboards, which can be shared across different stakeholders. So, which will then get you the overall visibility as well. And these are live dashboards, which I'll also be showcasing in my demonstration today. So in Crux, these are the different components that a qTest as a solution can provide. Of course, qTest Manager, where you will have your then you can plan your test activities, where you can have your release plans, where you can have your sprint plans maintained, where you can have your requirements maintained as well. And for that, you can have your test cases, you can have your manual test cases and everything around that. And you can also see things like qTest Launch, which will then help you to maintain your automation easily into your qTest as well. So, which means you can easily trigger your automation test case directly from qTest. So, which also gives you the flexibility, saying that you being a manager, not having the knowledge of an automation tool as well, you can quickly schedule a test within qTest as well in that case. So, this is something that can be easily done within the solution. And qTest Manager is also out of the box integrated with Jira and other tools like version 1 and Rally, so that you can also maintain your sprint plans directly, or have a copy of all your sprint plans directly into qTest as well basically. So this is something that you can do. And there are also things like exploratory testing, which Melissa would be showing you a demo today, where you can also do your test documentation, and you can also data drive your manual tests with the help of qTest parameters, and also things like qTest Pulse, which is also really powerful, where you can integrate different other, let's say, if you want to have an event-driven task set up in your tool, meaning that once your execution is completed, if you want to send an automated email, or if you want to send a message to your Slack or Teams automatically, that is also again achieved by webhooks within Pulse. So you can have a lot of custom actions addressed to that as well, so that you can address the whole DevOps way of working as well. And of course, Insights, which is also the powerful feature of qTest, where you can visualize the whole results of your quality assurance into a single platform, which I'll also be showcasing in my demonstration today. So this is in gist of different components that qTest can provide you, and this is what we are going to see in detail today. That how everything can be visualized within qTest as well in that front. So with that, I'll give it to Melissa to showcase you a quick demo on how all these pieces look like. And if you have any questions, feel free to put that on the Q&A box. We'll be happy to answer that in between the session, or once the session gets over, we have a 10 minutes Q&A, which we have allotted with. So we'll be happy to answer all those questions during that time as well.
Thank you, Sriram. So now I will share my screen and officially start our demo. Okay, so I hope you can see my screen now.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, so once you log in, basically this is the interface that you will see. On the top, you have your profile and you have a logout button. Beside that, you have settings, notifications, search, help, resources, and all the components that Sriram mentioned earlier. So parameters, launch, pulse, insights, explorer, and this whole view is actually called qTest Manager. In the central part, you have key components: test plan, requirements, test design, and test execution. And we will go through each and every one. I just want also to pinpoint this project drop down on the left. Which this does is basically allows you to switch between different projects, which is especially helpful if you're managing or working on multiple projects simultaneously. So you would be able to switch between these projects without the need to actually log out of your profile and log into another that is associated with another project. So you can do everything in this project. And with that, we'll actually start with requirements tab, and then we will go back to test plan. So once you open requirements, you can see this statistics view. It basically tells you how many requirements are there, which of those are new, and which of those are in project. Requirements tab is basically a place where you can create your project requirements from scratch, or you can also import them. You can import them from Excel, and as you can see, it's a pretty easy process. You will just need to drag and drop your Excel files, but you need to make sure that all your files are formatted consistently, and you can even use one of these to provided templates to do so. If you want to create your requirements from scratch, you can do this in this left part. As you can see, all of our requirements are organized in folders, or modules as we call them. What this does is keep things pretty tidy, structured, and organized, and it's later easier to find test cases and test execution. So if we were to make another module, you basically only have to click on this icon here, and you can see it is created. We can change its name, we can see the statistics and properties. We can also create submodules, basically folders inside the modules, which will further help us organize the things. To do that, you basically have only to click on the folder, right-click, and you can see that you can create a new module, new requirement. You can also copy, cut, or delete any requirement or any folder. So if I was to delete this, I could do simply by clicking on this button. And as you can see, we don't have it anymore. So as I mentioned, to create requirements from scratch, we would need to click on this icon, create new requirement. It opens this window in which you can see that we can edit the name. We can see who last updated, when, and by whom it was created or updated. You can see all different versions and changes in this history tab. You also have comments tab. It's pretty helpful when a few people are working on a project. So you can communicate here as well, but the details tab is what we are really going to look for. So let's create a new requirement, and it can be login functionality. As you can see, these details has a few sections. The first one is properties, resources, sessions list, and this section where you can actually create test cases. Which is very good about qTest is that you can basically link a requirement in a few different ways that I will show you to test cases. This ensures traceability between test cases and requirements. And from here, you will be able to access test cases. And of course, from test cases, you would be able also to access requirements, since everything is linked. And later, you will see that these test cases and therefore requirements can also be linked to test execution as well. So first things first, as you can see in properties, we have some pretty standard fields. So status, priority, type, target, assigned, you can add description, and this is rich field, so you can really structure it the way you want in the best way that works for you. It's also pretty important to keep descriptions detailed because you will see later, we will use this very nice feature called AI Copilot. But before that, you can see we also have priority, just as I mentioned, some pretty standard fields. But what is very nice about qTest is that basically you can tailor it to your preferences and to your project and add custom fields. To do so, you would need to go to this cog settings and find field settings. This will open another page, which we will just save before that. And as you can see on the left, we have a few artifacts, which means that you can create custom fields for any of those artifacts. Release, field, requirements, test cases, test suite, test run, and even defects. But at the moment, we want to check requirements. As I mentioned, you see we have a few different field types. Some are system, some are custom. For system, you see this additional mark stating that it's side field. And this, as you can see, you really can't deactivate it, meaning that it will always be present in your properties section. But these other, you can actually uncheck. And if you go on preview, you see that we don't have them. Description might be the easiest one to spot. As you can see, we don't have it anymore. So this really allows you to customize these fields to your preferences and to your project needs. And we can also make another custom field. So let's make it. You have display name and you can also change field type. Let's choose combo box, for example. Again, you can change the display name here, you can make it required, and you can add values. So this can be value 1, we can add value 2, how many you want. You can delete them and you can change their order. By clicking OK, you see that this one is present. And we can also change its display order. Let's say that we want to have it after description. If we go to preview, you can see that our custom field appeared and we can choose different values. So let's save it quickly and go back to our requirement. I will just add a short description, but as I mentioned, it's very important to add detailed description, especially if you're going to use AI Copilot. But login in Theme web shop, for example. We'll keep it short just for this webinar. So as I mentioned, you can link requirements to test cases, and you can do it in two different ways. You can basically link test cases that you have already made, and you would do that in this resource tab. By clicking on the add button, you'll see this pop up with all test cases that you have previously created. So if you want to add this test case, you can just simply click on it and click on add, and here it will appear in this list. Also, a nice feature is that you can add attachments if it's needed. But we will go back to this linking test case. So like this, you would basically link test cases that already exist. But if you want to create new test cases that are already linked to this requirement, you can do it here in create associated test case section. If you want to add only a name, description, type, and precondition, you would do that here. But I want to show you this Copilot, which basically allows you to take a step further. And as you can see, in this pop-up window, it basically auto-generates all different variations of test case that will be fitted to this requirement. You can change the name here, you can customize it further, you can regenerate, you can summarize, make it shorter, or you can elaborate and make it longer. And these you can also do for the test steps itself. You can add new test steps if you want. You can delete the one that are already generated. And as I mentioned, you can elaborate, summarize, delete, or regenerate test steps. On the left, you will see that you can also add multiple test cases. These are all variations that would be fitting to our requirements. So if we want to add a few, we basically just have to check and click on add test cases. What this does is automatically links our test cases. And if you want to check, here is your complete test case with steps, and it's linked to this requirement. So it's a pretty nice feature that saves you a lot of time, and you don't have to spend some time brainstorming different variation and edge cases. You can basically do this only by clicking on Generate AI. So it's a very nice feature. Moving on to our test design, this is basically a place where testers would create their test cases, and you can do it also on the left part, similar to requirements. All test cases are organized in folders or modules. If you want to create another one, you simply do so by clicking on the folder and creating new test case. You can also add new modules. You can copy paste, you can rearrange them, you can move them to different folders, and so on. But let's take a better look on our test case. At the top, you can see the name, and you can see these few options. So you can create test run, you can save it, you can convert it. But Sriram will tell you more about this function later. You can reload to see changes, but the very important part is this approve button. What this does is basically approves this test case so it can be included in test execution. This is something that would be done probably by test managers, QA leads, or someone with higher role. But sometimes testers even themselves approve these test cases before they move this ticket to a higher role. But it's important to approve it because in that way we can see that it fits completely our requirement and that it's very detailed. So at this part, you can see test case properties. Again, you can customize this, you can add another field. Some of them you can deactivate, the other ones are systems fields, so you can't move them, but you can add other ones. Here you have multiple tabs. Here are all of your test steps that you previously generated. Again, you can add new, you can rearrange them, you can delete them, copy them, do whatever basically. But what is very nice about qTest is that you can reuse some other test cases. For example, if you have test case where you have to log in and you have already made this test case, why would you every time write these 2 or 3 tests, like go to the page, log in, enter your username and password, and then click on login? Basically, what you can do is call the login test since you have already made it. So you would do by clicking on this icon. This will show you this pop-up, and from there you can see all of your test cases and you can choose which one you would like to call. By doing so, I managed to call the test that we are currently in. But as you can see, what this does is calls this test case, and since traceability is ensured, you can go to this test case from the previous one and see all test steps. And yeah, that basically saves you again some time and makes updating test cases easier, because you don't have to go through each and every test case that has the same test steps. You basically only have to edit this main login test case in this example, and all the ones that are related to this will also be updated. Another very nice thing that you can do here is use parameters. So think about parameters as dynamic variables, which allows you to create multiple test runs with different data. As you can see, I entered this parameter username by putting this @ sign, and by that you'll see later when we go to test execution that we basically create 3 same test cases but with different inputs for username. To create parameters, you would go here and in this section. I hope you can see this. Here's the list of all parameters that you can have. Identifier is basically the name of that parameter. You can see which ones are archived, inactive, active. You can filter them, you can import them, but you can create new ones as well. To do so, you just click on create button, you put name or identifier. You can put if it's Okay, we already have this one. Let's just add another letter. You can see if it's active, inactive, or maybe if you want to archive it, you can add description. This is password. And you can add values. And to create multiple values at the same time, as you can see, you basically only have to press enter. So we will just have some inputs here. It doesn't really matter because you would customize it to your project. But let's say that we have 3 different passwords here. By clicking on OK, you can see that we added 3 different values. Of course, you can remove them, or you can add just a single password. By saving it, if we go back and we want to include our password now, only by adding add password, you can see that we link these parameters. So, as I previously showed you, you can see that this functionality is linked to this requirement. Session is something that would be done once you execute your test case. You can add attachments, you can add comments, and you can see history. So any changes would be also displayed here. So let's quickly save this test case, and then we can approve them. Moving on, test execution. The first thing that you would see is this quick statistics overview, which basically tells you how many test runs you have made, how many are executed, how many are unexecuted, and you can see execution summary. So some of them are blocked, maybe, some of them are incomplete. You can see how many passed, fail, and so on. But if you want to create test run, first you would need to create test cycle or test suite. What this does is basically organizes your test runs, and test cycles are basically used for phases or for releases, and test suites basically group test cases that are similar, maybe related to one feature. But all of this you can basically customize to your project workflow or your preference. This would just be the best practice to keep everything organized in cycles or in suites. To create a cycle, to create a suite, you have this button here, and to create a cycle, you have this button here. Or you can also, like in the requirements and test design, you can basically just right click, and in the folder, you can add another maybe test suite or so. And here are the pretty standard interface that we all have already seen. So you can change all these properties. You can see statistics. You can see defect summary once you log actually some defect. You can see history and so on. Basically, test execution is a very important part both for testers and test managers. Test managers are usually the ones that are creating test suites and test cycles and test runs. And testers are there to actually execute the run, to record results, and to log any defects if it is found. So we will start with sprint 3, and we want to add another test run. You will do so by clicking on these statistics. And the first thing that you have to do when you want to create a test run for the sprint 3 in this case is to add your test cases. So by clicking on the add, you can see all your test plans, requirements, test cases, and execution and defects. In this case, we want to include a test from our demo, let's say. And as you can see, since we previously added parameters, this is the part where they show. So you can see steps information here, you can see the name, you can see test run location, and you can see this part, create run data. If you want to do manually, basically you wouldn't use parameters, but since we want to use parameters, we would select randomize data. And as you can see, we have username field here. So let's say that we want to add unique values for 2 combinations. If we click on preview data, here we generated two usernames from our parameter. So that would be definitely very useful if you have a lot of parameters with different data. You don't have to make test case every time for different username and different password. Only by using parameters, you can, let's say, automatize it by generating different combinations. And by clicking Add, you will see that we have multiple test cases planned for this sprint. So what you can do here, you can quick run the execution, or you can use testpad only, testpad and desktop explorer, and testpad and web explorer. For web explorer, you would need to install Chrome extension, and for desktop explorer, you would need to install application. It basically works the same, it's only about your personal preference. Let's say if you want to execute a test case, you would first need to select it and then click on run, and you can choose any option. For example, I would like to start execution with testpad and web explorer. By doing so, you can see that we need to approve this test case first. And what this does, I think that you can't see my testpad at the moment. Sriram, maybe.
Yeah, I can't see the testpad. So
you can. Okay, let me try to stop sharing and reshare my whole screen, because in that way you will definitely be able to see every pad. Okay, so this window that has opened now is called testpad, and as you have seen, you can run your test cases only with testpad. This allows you to manually do the test steps and mark them as passed or incomplete or failed or block or basically anything. You can also submit defects here, but this is not the only thing that we want to do now. What else I want to show you is the Explorer. So this other window is called Explorer. It's a very nice tool that allows you to document or to record your whole session, and it's basically like your little helper. So you can see the project name here, you can see the session that we're doing, you can add description, you can add your planned duration, and by clicking start, what happens is camera icon is flashing. As I mentioned, this is qTest Web Explorer extension. So what this does is basically records every step that you make. So any click, anything basically, which is very useful for exploratory testing, but can also be done for regression testing as well, when you want to make sure that your new changes haven't disrupted anything previously. But as you can see, now I'm free to explore the site, and if I encounter any issue, or if I want to maybe add a note about anything, basically, what I have to do is click on this extension, and as you can see here, you have a few different options. By clicking this one, you would capture your region. This would capture your whole screen. You can even record it, or you can record a voice memo, let's say, or you can add your captured slide. So these circles are basically your clicks, let's call them. This opens this documentation presentation. Let's call it like that. And here you can add your notes, you can add text, you can crop images, you can add different shapes. For example, if maybe something isn't right with quantity, for example, I can mark it like this, and I can add another note. I can also change the color, change the font, change the size of the font. And if I want to add text, I hope you can see it. Let's just go quickly. Yeah, you can see I can add text here. So new issue. It's pretty small at the moment, but I can change the size, and I can make it bigger, I can make it smaller. You can basically edit it any way you like and any way you think your documentation would be better. You can also add notes here. So as you can see, we have added new note. And as I mentioned, this basically records your whole session. So anything that you encounter, any issue, you can very easily and in a detailed way, you can document it basically. Once you're finished, what you need to do is, let's just first save this, since this was only the note we added. It seems like my browser crashed, or I'm not sure. Okay, so basically what else I wanted to show you, that once you're done with your session, you can basically click on stop of the whole recording, and it will automatically open you again this view. So I opened this before only because I wanted to show you that you can add notes as you go, but before that you can also, but after that you can also stop the whole session and get the whole documentation as well. So I hope you got it, even though I can't show you at the moment. Sriram, you can take over now. I will stop my screen sharing.
Good. Thanks for that. So let me then start sharing my screen again. I hope you can see my screen in a second. Here you go.
Yes, we can see it.
Good. So thanks for that, Melissa. So what you saw in Crux was where you used qTest as a standalone tool in order for you to see how you can manage your requirements, how you can manage your test case creation, how you can parameterize it, how you can run your tests and then get different results and everything around it. But what I'm going to show you also quickly is now that, and there was also a question in the chat from Roshan asking that, can we import the requirements from Jira? So this is exactly what I'm going to showcase now as well. So of course, we know that there are different teams who might be having different project management tools like Jira, where they might be maintaining the requirements as well. The good thing is qTest has out-of-the-box integration with Jira. So how do we do that? Is, let's say this project, what you're seeing now, is something that I've already integrated. So which means you can see that it is super easy for you to integrate any Jira connection with your qTest. So you can see the only thing that you'll be needing is your qTest URL, username and password. So once you click on save, you will then be able to connect Jira with your qTest instance as well. So what do I mean by that is you can have your release plans, you can have your sprint plans imported into qTest directly, so that you can still have the traceability of Jira, but maintained within qTest as well, and then bidirectionally. So which means you can push your test cases into Jira and test results into Jira, and vice versa. You can also make your so once you make any changes in your Jira, those will also be updated in real time into qTest as well. So it has an out-of-the-box integration with Jira basically, and you can see that you can have the integration in multiple levels. So things like you can import your sprint plans, you can also import your requirements like your story, your epics, or if you want to have any custom issue type within Jira, those can also be easily integrated with qTest. And also the other important point is you can also directly have the defect integration as well. So which means once you have an issue within your test case, and if you want to raise a defect, you can also have your defect integration directly into qTest as well. So which means once you raise a defect in qTest, the defect will flow into your Jira project directly, and you can also define which project those has to be flown in, so that you don't have to manually assign those as well. So you can have your integration as detailed as possible. And you can also define your folder structures as well accordingly. So which means you don't have to have the manual effort of you creating the folder structures for your requirements. So you can also have things like, let's say, I want to organize my requirements coming from Jira, as my status is the first folder and sprint is the second folder. So you can also choose whatever field that you want, and then the details that are coming from Jira will be automatically organized as well. So if I can show you the glimpse, so you can see that once you've integrated your project, you can see that in test plan, I have my sprint plan of Jira coming in already. So you can see that I have my sprint one with all the things that you saw before, what Melissa showed, that you can assign your custom properties as well to it. But in addition to that, you can also get read-only properties from Jira coming into qTest, so that if you want to report any particular field of Jira into your reporting as well, so that's also possible. Um, and not only just that, what you can see also from the resource section is, let's say that in your sprint plan of Jira, you have these many stories. Let's say I have the test 3, 5, and all these. So this is basically Jira, what I'm showcasing you here. And if there are all these different stories assigned, these will also be automatically assigned to your traceability as well. So it's then easier for you to get all the information as well. So for example, if this is sprint one, if a particular story got moved from sprint one to sprint two, it will be automatically moved into qTest as well. You don't have to manually change that in your qTest basically. And if I go into requirements, now you see that the import from Jira basically. And if you remember the folder structure that I showcased you before, where I wanted to organize all my requirements based on the status first, there you can see the status. And once I open the status, you also see the sprint plan. So you can see sprint 1 and 2 and 3, and all the stories would be automatically added into that particular point as well. And when I said that the integration is out of the box and it is instantaneous, what do I mean by that is, let's say if I'm into Jira now, and let's say I create a story into this Jira basically. So let's say webinar QNet, right? And if I click on create, and you can even assign sprints as well. So let's say I want this story to be added in sprint 3, and if I click on create, and if I go back to my qTest, you can now see that instantaneously this qTest webinar that I've created will be automatically added. Even I did not make a refresh for the screen, so it's almost instantaneous that your defects or your story would be added into your sprint. So let's say if you are moving this from sprint 1 to sprint 3, wherever you want to do, and or if you want to click on it and then go to your sprint story directly, that's also automatically taken into that into this traceability as well. So it's easier for you to then get your traceability maintained as a part of Jira integration. And in addition to that, what you also get is, let's say that Melissa showed you a part where she's created a test, and then she also added a test run as well. So if you want to add an existing test case into that particular execution, that's also possible. So which means if there are test cases where if I want to add a particular test case into it, this traceability will also be easily maintained into your Jira story. And then if I go into my Jira story basically, and then if I click on this, you will now see that the test case that I assigned to my Jira story would also be automatically added into my qTest instance as well. So you can see that your execution part. So everything will be automatically added into it. So you can also see, along with that, your execution run will also be added. So you can see that this was the execution that was previously done. And you can also see that you will also get all the results automatically added into your Jira instance as well. So you can see everything is automatic, everything is instantaneous. So you will also get all this information in a bi-directional way. So you will also have the things in qTest. You will also have your things in a Jira as well, basically. And one other part which I wanted to quickly showcase as well is, let's say that there was a quick run which I can make on this particular test. Maybe I'll make it as failed. and I want to add a defect to it, for example. So let's say I want to create a defect for this particular test case. So when I click on this, what happens is if you remember before, I showcased you the part where you can have the defects directly integrated into your qTest project. So which means if I want to raise a bug, I can simply choose which project I want to raise a bug as well. So in this case, you can see that this is one project I have and defect types. And if I click on add, now you will see that it will open up a new tab for me, where now I can add these test cases or add these defects directly into my Jira project as well. So once you see that, once I log in into my account, so it will now open my Jira project as well. So in a second, you will see that I'll have my Jira project or Jira story where I can raise a bug as well. So in this case, you can see now the Jira account is getting opened up, and you can see that the create issue tab is automatically opened into my Jira project as well. So let's say I have login issue, and I can automatically add all those information. And then if I would have added a bug directly from a test step where I've created as well, things like your documented results, your documented information will also be automatically added as a defect description. So you don't have to manually add those things as well as a part of it. So once you create a defect, you can now see that this defect would be created, and along with that, what will also happen is if I return back to it, now you see that these defect will be automatically assigned to my Jira project, in my qTest project, not only in my qTest project as well, but if I go into my Jira story and then if I refresh it, you will also see that the bug that I've raised will also be automatically linked to my story as well. So you don't have to manually also do that. So that will also be automatically linked to my story basically. So that's how easily you then be able to link all those informations as well. So it's then easier for you to get all your traceability maintained as well. So this is how easily you can have all your Jira integration maintained as well, so that even though you might be maintaining your bugs, maintaining your stories in a different tool like Jira, those can be easily imported into qTest as well. So that's the first part. And the second part is what I wanted to show is the Tosca integration as well. So you also saw from Melissa that there were test cases that was created as a part of this test case as well. So as a first sprint, you might be having this test case as a manual test, and then maybe from the second sprint you want to maybe automate this test case. So in that case, you can easily convert this manual test case into a Tosca test case. So which means when you click on this button, this test case would be automatically transferred into Tosca, which is the automation part of Tricentis. So from there, as an automation team, you can add the automated test steps to it. And then once you push the test case back, what you also have is an automated test case like this, which is coming from Tosca basically. So which means once you push your test case, the execution information would also be automatically created into qTest, so that let's say you as a test manager want to run a test case, you don't have to ask your automation team to say, okay, I want to run this particular test case now, and can you schedule it and all that. It also gives you the flexibility that you can schedule whatever test you want directly within qTest as well. And you can see that, let's say this is a webinar, I want to schedule this particular test case, and let's say I want to schedule this today night at let's say 12 a.m. and I want to confirm this execution. So once it is done, so now you will see that this execution that I've scheduled will be running exactly at 12 o'clock in the night, basically. So that's what you as a test manager can even then schedule any test runs within qTest, and then once the results are there, you will see all the information available in here basically. So this is how you can see you can also maintain your automation results. And the good thing is it's not only just also for Tosca, so you can also maintain results like your Selenium results or your CI/CD results, You can also maintain your near load results, for example, which is your load and performance testing. So you can integrate your multiple different tool sets into qTest and then get your information available in a single source of truth as well. So that's the whole part. And the good thing about this is now you have seen everything about how you can get all the informations in there. But now as a test manager, it is important for you to have more like a dashboard or a reporting where you can visualize all your results as well. And this is provided by the option called insights. So insights is where you can do your overall project reporting. So which means once you click on that insights, it will land into a page like this, where you have different sets of dashboard. So you can have your own personal dashboards as well. So let's say, for example, if you click on the quality dashboard, so you can get information like, let's say, these are my results, these are my total runs. So what was executed today, what was passed, what was failed. You can and you can, from the defect status as well, you can see what defects were raised. And even in that case, if you want to quickly click on this and then go into that particular information as well. So it is an interactive dashboard where you can get detailed information about what was executed, what was the things around those things as well. So this is something that you can obviously get. And all these dashboards are something that's out of the box. So which means, yeah, there are more than 60 plus out of the box dashboards available. So which means if you want to create a particular dashboard, for example, so let's say if I go into one of the dashboard which was already created, you can now see that there are out of the box dashboards available in here, where you can see from this. So if you're looking for some dashboards on automation, there are things available. If you're looking for something on coverage perspective, there are multiple reports available in here. For defects, there are multiple out of the box reports available. So once you pull this and drag and drop into your section, you will now it will automatically refresh and get your information into that reporting as well. And in addition to that, you can also do cross project reporting. So which means if you have 7 or 8 teams maintained in those 7 or 8 teams available in that, so you will then be able to get all these in a consolidated way as a reporting. And then that's also available as a part of qTest as well, basically. And other important information is you can then easily share this as a shareable link. So like, for example, once I click on this, and then once I give this as a link to you, you will then be able to open this and then see the exact same information like what I'm seeing on the screen as well. So this is also something that will then be used, and then this can be automated, shared it with different stakeholders, so that if one of your stakeholders wants to see the current progress, they don't want to follow the specific team to see what is going on, so they can simply go into the dashboard and then see the current status of what is happening as well. So it's a live dashboard which can then be viewed by different stakeholders, basically. And from here, you can also, as I said, get your automation results consolidated, your requirements coverage, your traceability, your test plan versus executed. So there are multiple such dashboards available out of the box, which can then be visualized within qTest as well, basically. So this is then the gist of how the whole Jira integration works, plus from that, how the whole results can be visualized within qTest, basically. So with that, I'll give it back to Melissa again to see if there is something that can be summarized, and then we'll also check if there is any questions which we can then answer in a second as well.
Thank you, Sriram. Just shortly, I think we can still see the screen. Okay, yeah. So just shortly to summarize everything up, what do you get as a tester? While using qTest, it allows you for efficient test case creation, reusability, clear execution workflow, defect tracking, requirement alignment, and easy documentation in qTest Explorer. And for test managers, planning and resource management is pretty easy. There is traceability, executions are organized, data-driven decision-making, and defect oversight as well. So this will be a quick summarize. We had another question, I think, for From Roshan about reports. Sriram, is it possible to change status colors?
So there are multiple customizations that you can do on the reporting purposes as well. So this is something that you can easily get different information, different customization done at the reporting level. So not only just from the color perspective, there are different things that you can do in terms of customization, which you can do at the reporting level as well, basically.
Great, thank you. So with that, we will wrap this webinar. Hopefully you learned something new, and happy testing. See you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. See you then. Bye.